A shadow appeared the night she mocked the hijab, the night it all began. The wind carried a strange chill over the rooftops of Al Nur district. Lamia, a 22-year-old university student known for her beauty, boldness, and quick tongue, walked home with her friends. Laughter echoed against the quiet storefronts, the type of laughter that springs from mockery, not joy. Earlier that evening, Lamia had pointed at a young hijabi girl crossing the street, whispering loud enough for her friends to hear. Look at her wrapped like an ancient statue, who still dresses like that. Does she think she's better than everyone? Her friends giggled instantly, but the hijabi girl didn't respond. She only lowered her gaze and walked on. It should have ended there. But Allah's signs come in ways a person never expects. And that night, a shadow began to follow Lamia. When Lamia reached home close to p.m., she noticed something unusual. The hallway light flickered weakly. The mirror beside the shoe rack seemed darker than usual, almost absorbing the light instead of reflecting it. But she shrugged it off, tossed her bag, and went straight to her room. Her mother called after her, Lamia, did you pray Maghrib or Isha? Lamia rolled her eyes. Not tonight, Mum. I'm tired. Her mother sighed with worry, the old familiar worry she carried for a daughter drifting farther from Allah with each passing week. Later, as Lamia lay scrolling on her phone, she suddenly felt a vibration not from the phone, but from the wooden floor beneath her bed. A subtle tremor. She sat up sharply. Then came the sound, a soft dragging, just outside her door. She stared at the doorknob. Her chest rose and fell too quickly. Maybe Dad is walking past, she whispered to herself, but her father was on a business trip thousands of kilometers away. The dragging sound came again, slow, deliberate, like something pulling itself along the floor. Her skin prickled. She reached for the lamp and switched it on. The sound stopped, silence, heavy, dense. After several minutes, she convinced herself it was her imagination, switched off the lamp, and lay back down. But as soon as darkness swallowed the room, she saw it. A shadow stretched under her door, long, distorted, breathing, not moving like a person's shadow, but pulsing like a living mass of darkness waiting to be acknowledged. Lamia shot upright in bed, heart pounding, but the shadow remained unnervingly still, as if watching her, as if waiting. She whispered shakily, Who's there? The shadow curled slightly, as though responding. Her throat tightened. With trembling fingers, she grabbed her phone and turned on the flashlight. The moment the beam touched the door, the shadow vanished. Her breath caught, tears welled in her eyes. That night she didn't sleep. Morning sunlight brought temporary relief, and Lamia convinced herself it must have been a trick of the light. Shadows can't breathe. Shadows don't drag themselves across floors. So she dressed up, sprayed her expensive perfume, and headed out. At the university cafeteria, her friends greeted her with loud chatter. Lamia forced a smile, but something inside her had shifted. Midway through their conversation, a girl wearing a graceful navy hijab sat alone at a table near the window reading Quran, one of Lamia's friends nudged her. Look, your favorite type, she teased sarcastically. Lamia frowned, but instead of mocking, she found herself staring. The hijabi girl looked peaceful, serene. A strange pang ran through Lamia, something like longing mixed with guilt. Her friend laughed. Say something. You always do, but Lamia whispered, not today. As she turned away, she caught the hijabi girl glancing up. Their eyes met briefly, and the girl smiled, a soft, knowing smile. It unsettled Lamia more than the shadow. That night, Lamia tried to sleep early, hoping exhaustion would erase her fears. She turned off the lights, pulled the blanket to her chin, and closed her eyes. Minutes passed, then a soft thud, then another. Something heavy hitting the wall behind her bed. Her eyes flew open, her breath froze. The thudding grew louder, faster, urgent, as if something tried to break through from the other side. She clutched the blanket tightly, her heart hammered painfully, her lips trembled. Stop. Please stop. The thudding stopped instantly. Silence returned, but the atmosphere had changed. The air became cold, not natural cold, but a suffocating chill that wrapped around her body like invisible fingers. She turned toward the mirror across the room, and her blood turned to ice. A shadow, the same one from last night, stood in the mirror, tall, twisted, looking directly at her. But nothing stood in front of the mirror. No figure, no body, only the reflection of something that shouldn't exist. The shadow lifted its head slowly, as if acknowledging her. Lamia choked on her breath. Her voice barely escaped as a whisper. What do you want from me? The shadow stretched its arm toward her reflection, and the mirror cracked, a thin fracture first, then a spiderweb of broken lines. Lamia screamed. Her mother rushed in, lights on, mirror intact. No crack, no shadow, only Lamia trembling violently. Her mother held her tightly. Oh Allah, what is happening to my daughter? But Lamia could not speak. The next day, Lamia did something she hadn't done in months. She visited the campus masjid. She didn't enter at first. She sat outside on a bench, watching girls walk in wearing hijab. They looked peaceful, purposeful. A soft voice spoke beside her. You look troubled. She turned sharply. It was the same hijabi girl from the cafeteria. Lamia hesitated before whispering, Do you believe Allah gives warnings? The girl nodded gently. Yes, out of His mercy. Before punishment, Allah sends signs to pull our hearts back to Him. Lamia swallowed hard. Her eyes stung. The girl continued, reciting softly. Whoever Allah humiliates, none can honor. Quran 22:18. Lamia flinched. The girl then added, Whoever fears Allah, He will make for them a way out. Quran 65:2. Tears slid down Lamia's cheeks. I think something is following me, she whispered, a shadow. The girl didn't look shocked. Instead, she said quietly, When we mock what Allah honors, the heart darkens and darkness attracts darkness. Lamia's breathing hitched. Her hands shook uncontrollably. How do I stop it? She asked. The girl placed a comforting hand on her shoulder. By returning to Allah and honoring what you mocked. That night, Lamia did something she never imagined doing again. She picked up her dusty prayer mat. She stood trembling. She whispered Bismillah, and she prayed Disha for the first time in months, crying through every sujud. After prayer, she reached for a folded piece of fabric deep inside her drawer, a hijab she hadn't worn in years, soft, light, simple. She placed it gently on her head. When she looked into the mirror, the shadow appeared again, but this time it recoiled. It shrank as though burned by light. Screeching silently, writhing in distortion, it retreated into the far corner of the room. Lamia whispered a Yotl Kursi through broken sobs. The shadow dissolved. It didn't return. Not that night. Not ever again. The next day, Lamia walked through campus wearing her hijab. Her friends stared in shock, but she no longer cared for their approval. One asked mockingly, seriously, you. Lamia only smiled softly and replied, Allah showed me something, and when Allah shows you, you cannot unsee. She walked away peacefully. For the first time in her life, her heart felt light. She was safe, guided. And the shadow that once haunted her became a reminder. A sign from Allah is never to destroy, but to return a straying heart back to Him. My dear viewers, before you go, kindly subscribe so you don't miss stories that soften the heart, remind the soul, and strengthen your iman. Your support helps us continue sharing these powerful Islamic reflections. May Allah guide us all. Amen.